public safety announcement. Well, here we go again. Bama back on top, ranked number one. Bama back on top, ranked number one. We knew that was going to happen sometime soon this year, but because we used to it. Most teams out there, when they get to the top, they can't hold it. They're not used to it. See, that's what I love about Alabama. We've been on top so long. When we got dropped to number 2, it didn't bother us because we knew we were going to get number 1 eventually, like we always do. But let me say this about a few teams. There's some teams that's still undefeated that's starting to shape up and look pretty good. And one of them is our little brother in the state of Alabama, Auburn Tigers. They are looking pretty good, I got to admit. I'm not going to lie. But it's just funny to me to see how that all of a sudden now Auburn is what everybody's talking about. See, it's like, let's see, on Friday night, you're gonna go to that new restaurant and eat. And then when you leave that restaurant, all you're gonna talk about is that new restaurant. Man, it tasted great. It was the best. Y'all gotta go try this new restaurant. Blah, 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 all that. And then you go eat again at that new restaurant 2 weeks later. And the flavor, well, still good, but you ain't bragging no more. Then you go eat 3 weeks later again. And then you like, man, we got to find another restaurant. You know, this ain't tasting great like it was at the beginning. See, that's what Auburn Tiger is. See what I'm saying? And that's what LSU was. Because now you ain't nobody talking about LSU right now. Nobody. Ain't nobody talking about Clemson this week. You know, they all talking about Auburn. Auburn this. Auburn blowed out Mississippi State. Mississippi State. But now, they hoping and praying that Auburn can be the team that knock off Alabama. All right? But let me say this. Auburn got a whole lot of trap mellow. Auburn got a whole lot of landmines. That's what I meant to say. Landmines. I get my words mixed up sometimes. It'll be all right. But they got to go through them landmines. You know what I'm saying? If they can get through Florida this week, and Florida, vice versa, Florida can get through them. If then Auburn got LSU on the table for us, Florida got Georgia on the table for us, you know, LSU got, you know, Auburn and Florida on the table for us. See, I'm just saying, Alabama's sitting back and just waiting in the weeds and getting better. You know what I'm saying? Because we're going to get all the information we need when we get ready to bust their ass, you know. And I don't know who going to come out the East, but if Florida was to beat Auburn this week, I think Florida going to be a legit threat to Georgia. But if Florida lays an egg, then Georgia coming out the East. But I'm going to say this. I think Georgia going to get snake bit somewhere down the line. I feel it. I'm just telling you now, either Missouri, either South Carolina, somebody gonna snake bit them. I just don't think Georgia's as good as they think they are. But other than that, man, I ain't really got a whole lot to say except, you know, Bama back on top. We used to being number 1. We got a few things we got to work on as a unit, which is fine with me because I don't want to look the bit. I don't want to have these kids thinking we ain't got nothing to work on. Yeah, we got a lot to work on to get better, to win this whole thing. Because ain't nobody going to outscore us this year. Nobody. Nobody going to compete with that offense. You know, but only thing we going to have to work on is slowing some teams down because the way everything is spread it out now and these RPOs they running, you know, you're not going to stop no offense from scoring if you got a decent offense because you can come up like you pass blocking and then, like you run blocking, then you pass block or pass block like you run blocking. The linebackers don't know what you're gonna do. So it's easy to get people in space. But if you got the athletes like we got to get them in space, especially 4 and 5 at a time, you ain't gonna be able to keep up with us. So I'm happy for Auburn having a little success, but at the end of the year, we're gonna take care of that problem like we always do. They got the Gus bus cranked up, full of diesel fuel, and the Gus bus is running wide open. But eventually, they gonna realize that Gus bus ain't got no damn airbags on it. Roll down tire.